Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. We entered the Blunderdome for what has got to be the most unnecessary and very predictable pay-per-view that the WWE has ever produced. They might as well have called this WWE Predictable instead of Payback, because we had a bunch of championships change hands, and we seen Roman Reigns wreck no one and still leave the new Universal Champion. We are going to talk about all of it and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's WWE Payback Review and Reaction Show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
It's just amazing to me how the Roman Reigns problem has already reared its ugly head. Do you understand how simple tonight was supposed to be? How easy tonight could have went, and we could have been singing a completely different tune. But Roman Reigns has already been ruined, in my opinion. This heel run hasn't even gotten started yet, and it has been started in the most underwhelming and ridiculous way you could ever start anybody's heel run. All Roman Reigns had to do was show up and win this match. They didn't need to do anything extra. They didn't need to add any of this overbooked nonsense that we seen in the main event tonight. All he had to do was have new music. He needed to have a new look, not just be dressed in black a different way. He needed to change it up a little bit, and he had Paul Heyman at his side. All he needed to do was win, and he's a heel. That's it. You didn't need the stupid backstory of, well, he didn't sign the contract before the match began. Doesn't that mean he's not in the match? How can you sign a contract to be in a match that's already 3/4 of the way done? I understand they're trying to make him look like a sleazeball, trying to make him look like he's cheating or getting some sort of advantage, but you don't need that. You didn't need any of it. He needed to be part of this match from beginning to end. He could have cheated to win. You could have had Paul Heyman play a part in him getting that win tonight. What reason is Paul Heyman with him? What sort of reason is there for him to even be attached to Roman Reigns if he's not going to help him win? Was this his convoluted scheme? And it certainly goes against all logic, because that's not how contracts work. We had Braun Strowman and The Fiend battling it out, picking up from where they left off at SummerSlam just 6 days ago, and continuing to destroy everything in their path. They want to book these guys like two Universal Studios monsters or Godzilla versus King Kong and all these stupid little analogies they keep adding every time we see these guys go at it. But it was so simple. So simple, and they blew it already by doing too much. And that's the problem with Roman Reigns. That was the problem with him when he was a good guy. That's going to be a problem with him already, because they're just trying too damn hard. You didn't have to try that hard. You didn't have to do that much. You didn't have to have an imploding ring. You didn't have to have him sit out for more than half of the match and then come in at the end and then still struggle to get the win. He didn't wreck anybody. Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt were already wrecked before Roman Reigns even stepped foot in that ring. We all knew it was inevitable. It was going to happen, and it happened sooner than later. As soon as Roman set foot back in the WWE, you knew they were going to put him back on top. They tried to do something interesting. They tried to give us something we've been asking for, and it should have been as easy as hitting a layup to win the game, but instead they missed it by a mile. And it's just confusing to me how they can be so inept at doing something that simple. They're overthinking it. They're trying too hard to make him seem like a heel. He did like all the heel things. He was an uber heel. Tonight he's kicking people in the balls. He's not wrestling in half the match. He's beating up people with chairs. He didn't need to do any of those things. All he had to do was come out and win. Maybe have Paul Heyman have some form of direction or something to do with the finish to make it seem like Heyman gives him an advantage. But no. Instead, we got the ring imploding. We got mallets being used. We got tables being busted open and busted apart on the ringside. And none of it had to do with Roman Reigns. He wrecked no one. He came in and picked up the scraps. And I understand that might be where they're trying to go. But you don't need to take the big dog and book him like a chicken shit heel. You gotta book him like the badass heel you want him to be, right? But instead we got this convoluted mess. This very overbooked, ridiculous main event that definitely was surprising, but not in a good way. It was a terrible way that they debuted Roman Reigns. He's still walking out to the Shield music. He's still just dressed in all black. And they're just trying too damn hard. And it didn't come off that well to me. The best thing about this show tonight was the fact that my WWE network wouldn't load. It wouldn't load. I was sitting here watching the pre-show, and the app just like crapped out on me. It just crashed. And then I tried to log in again and again and again, and it didn't. It wouldn't. I tried on my PlayStation 4. I tried on the Xbox One. I tried on my phone. I tried on my tablet. I even tried on my PC. I couldn't log in if my life depended on it, but now I'm grateful for it because what happened is the WWE Network spared me from the first half of this show, which was absolute garbage, just by looking at the results and following along on social media until I got this thing to actually fire up. And I got to see the show just in time to see the great finish in the women's tag team matchup where Shayna Baszler single-handedly beat both the Golden Role Models using Sasha Banks to tap out Bayley, which I thought was fantastic. The only side effect here, the only bad thing here, is that now we have Nia Jax as a women's tag team champion, and that's not even as much as a problem as it is to me. I mean, many of you guys might not even really give a shit because the women's tag team division doesn't mean a thing. But when you look at the fact that they didn't have one team to put in this scenario that would have made sense, it's a crime. They had to throw together Baszler and Jax, who have never had a tag team match before in their life, and these two girls end up walking out beating two pretty accomplished women. A two-time women's tag team champions. Beaten by a team that has never, ever fought together before in their life. And on top of that, these are two girls that don't get along. They don't like each other. Meanwhile, they're standing in the ring, victorious in the end, over Banks and Bayley with the best finish on the entire night. And I got to see Nia Jax screaming in the ring about being new World Tag Team Champions. Not saying anything of note. Shayna Baszler's trying to pull off an interview and Nia Jax is just running around screaming, getting her face in the camera. When she didn't even win the match. She had nothing to do with winning the match. Absolutely ridiculous. But we all seen this coming. This was a nice little step to add a little bit more tension to a Sasha and Bayley feud that's about 3 years too late now at this point. But at least they're trying here. They're not trying too hard, but they're trying to make it a little bit more interesting. Bayley is the one that tapped out, which thus caused Sasha Banks now to not even be one half of the women's tag team champions. So that tension will be there. Bayley is the only one left standing. She is still the SmackDown Women's Champion, but now Sasha Banks is left out in the cold. And considering all the jabs and the little, remarks that Bayley has been throwing in there that looks like they've been getting underneath Sasha's skin, this is going to implode probably on Friday night. Or maybe even tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. Because they just do things whenever they want. The brand split doesn't even matter at this point. Does it? I don't think so. So I was able to see that. I was able to see Keith Lee make an emphatic statement. Luckily, he changed back to his original ring gear that he used to use. So he didn't look bad. He looked great tonight. The music, it's an issue. but there's nothing he can do about it. He came out on social media and said, listen, it is what it is. I'll try to get it taken care of, but there's nothing I can do. It's out of my hands. I understand, but man, that music just absolutely kills my feeling when it hits. You know, that the way it begins with the bask in his glory, and then he says he is limitless, and then that hook that's supposed to drop never comes, and it just is very underwhelming. But the match itself was not. Keith Lee versus Randy Orton ended up being very entertaining, and Keith Lee powerbombed Randy Orton right out of his snakeskin boots, shocking the hell out of the legend killer Keith Lee with a tremendous pop-up powerbomb. Looked absolutely fantastic in this outing. Definitely looks like he could hang in the main event scene, and hopefully they take him seriously. And if we are leading somehow to Keith Lee being a WWE champion sooner than later, I am all for that. It'll be interesting to see what happens when Drew McIntyre comes back. If Keith Lee ends up turning heel, if Drew McIntyre ends up turning heel, maybe not. Maybe they'll have one of those, we're mutual friends and we're both good guys, but we're going to see who the better man is for the championship thing. I don't know what the future holds for Keith Lee. All I know is what I saw tonight was very impressive, and I liked how they booked Keith Lee tonight. His debut definitely left a lot to be desired. And I feel like it would have been better off if he would have just showed up on Monday, gotten Randy's face, and then they just had this match. Everything else that happened just kind of took some of the flavor off. But this definitely picked the Limitless one right back up to where he needs to be. I enjoyed every bit of this match. We had a rematch of Rey Mysterio and Dominic versus Seth and Buddy, in which this time Seth doesn't get the win. It's 50-50 booking. It was a decent match. Dominic Mysterio still continues to impress. He's still a little green. You could see that. He likes to do his arm drags. I guess he's very comfortable doing those. But it was a decent match. It was a nice little tag team match. Went on a little bit too long, just like their first encounter just went on way too long. But it was enjoyable. There were some decent spots. And the Mysterios get one up on Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. This thing is far from being over. I don't know what is going on with Rey Mysterio's costume choices. I feel like the guy forgot how to put colors together. I don't know if what these latest few numbers he's been wearing are homage to, but man, it's hard on the eyes. I'll tell you that much. He's usually really good with his outfit game, but this year, like his suits and everything he's been wearing, I don't get him. And the color schemes are loud, and it looks like they were put together by a third grader. But other than that, it was a good tag team matchup, and went a little bit too long, but it was okay. It was okay. And then we had the main event, Roman Reigns defeating Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman to become the new Universal Champion. The part of the card that I missed, let's go over that, because let's see what it is that they saved me from. The Riot Squad defeated the Iconics on the kickoff show. I didn't see it. I didn't need to see it, and the Riot Squad gets a win. I guess that's a good thing, but still fighting the Iconics. How much longer? How many more times do we have to see these four go at it? Bobby Lashley and Apollo Crews kicked off the show for the United States Championship, in which the Hurt Business finally gets a win over Apollo Crews. He's been sitting back just having it easy, taking care of MVP week after week, but now he went up against Bobby Lashley and he lost. Bobby Lashley is your new United States Champion. I didn't see it. I didn't need to see it. I didn't want to see it in the first place. Hopefully the Hurt Machine, the Hurt Locker Machine, finally moves on from Apollo Crews, but you know he's going to want to try to get his championship back. So once again, we've only just begun, and we're going to tell this story again. Only this time, instead of it being MVP, it's going to be Apollo Crews and Bobby Lashley. Big whoop. The only match that I missed, that I'm a little bit disappointed that I missed, was Big E defeating Sheamus. He gets his first really big singles match on pay-per-view versus a formidable opponent in Sheamus, and he beat his ass. Great. Great. That's what we need from Big E. And even though he was booked pretty much evenly with Sheamus, it made sense here Not like how we've had to see him selling the guys like John Morrison and The Miz. In this case, it was done pretty well, and Big E got a lot of offense in on Sheamus. Like I said, I didn't see it. I read about it. I didn't see it. Didn't need to see it, but I would have liked to have seen Big E finally get a nice big singles win. And then the biggest thing that I missed, biggest only because I'm happy that I did not have to see Constable King Dickhead on my screen tonight. The Constable King lost to the Shoeless Wonder, Matt Riddle, in a match that I'm sure I definitely would have shit all over if I had to sit through it. Didn't mind missing half the show. The fact that the show only ran 2.5 hours makes it more efficient even than a Monday Night Raw. But this pay-per-view felt almost just like that. It felt like a glorified episode of one of the weekly television shows, like a supercard. Like a Raw SmackDown supercard. Not necessarily a pay-per-view. But that was Payback. That was Payback. And another interesting thing, that second night in a row we have seen absolutely no sign of retribution, which here I thought was really strange because when you think about it, the word payback is the actual definition of the word retribution. When you get retribution, are you not getting payback for something that has been done wrong to you? So them being absent on SmackDown was one thing. Them being absent from this pay-per-view, which is pretty much their namesake, means that the WWE really had no idea what the hell they were doing. They were throwing shit at the wall hoping it sticked. And retribution doesn't seem to have stuck. I don't know, you went 2 whole shows without any even mention of retribution on this pay-per-view. Not at all. Everybody's going, they're going to be with Roman. Everybody's assuming it's going to be these guys from NXT. And actually, hindsight being what it is, wouldn't that have been a great way for Roman Reigns to have won the Universal Championship tonight? Don't you think it would have been much more worth it, even if he wasn't the leader of Retribution, so to speak? Roman Reigns is in there with The Fiend and Bray Wyatt. Retribution hits the ring, wipes everybody out except for Roman, because Roman hightails it out of there with Paul Heyman, and then he picks up the scraps. And then you give Retribution a little bit of heat. Maybe unmask one of them before the night is over. Are they even still a thing? We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And we're not going to have to wait long because tomorrow night is Monday Night Raw. The last 2 weeks have seen way too much wrestling, if you ask me. This was an unnecessary show. We shouldn't be sitting here talking about this Payback because 7 days after after SummerSlam, rather. Come on. Completely unnecessary. They should have just called this show Reigns Back, because that's all this was about. This was about Roman Reigns coming back and getting that belt on him before The Fiend or Braun Strowman can do any further damage to the Universal Championship. That's it. That's all I have to tell you guys tonight. They blew it already with the steps they took with Roman Reigns. Sasha Banks continues to be on a downward spiral. Keith Lee makes an impressive debut versus a legend in the business. The Mysterios get one up on Rollins and Murphy, and the rest was pretty much silence. Literally silence for me, because I didn't watch it, I didn't see it, and I'm probably all the better for it. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. That's going to wrap it up on this Payback review. If you liked what we had to say today, if you agreed with anything I had to say, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. If you're not already a Sledgehead, what are you waiting for? All you got to do, hit that subscribe button and make sure all notifications are on so that when we do drop a video just like this one, case in point, tomorrow night's Monday Night Raw review, you will not miss it and you will be notified, and you could come here with your friends in the Sledgehead Army and bring your hammers down with me on WWE's trash programming. And I was hoping for better. I was hoping for better, but when we got like 10 minutes in to the main event and Roman still wasn't out there, I smelled something and it stunk. And I knew it wasn't going to get any better. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball, the most important member of the team as always, each and every one of you. Make sure you check out everything else you might have missed on the channel, which will be linked in the annotations up above, and be back here tomorrow night for our review of Monday Night Raw. That's going to do it. We are out of here. We will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.